Everyone who plays the violin must start at the very beginning. And ask any violin teacher what the biggest struggle is during the first 2 years of learning to play the violin, and they will almost always agree. The notorious bent left wrist. And intonation. The teacher will probably then go on to tell you that a bent left wrist is half of the struggle of intonation, especially later on. Because even if a student is talented enough to finally keep their wrist straight after 6 months of being reminded 1,000 times or more, no exaggeration, then they have to go through the frustrating process of relearning how and where to put all their fingers back down. At this point, some teachers, especially school teachers, can get emotional. And for far too many, the unlearning of bad habits is more frustration than they can bear. So they quit. If there was a way to skip these first 2 years of struggling, it could turn their grief and frustration into hope and excitement. Every student could be a prodigy. They could enjoy the music from the very first day. It would be a miracle. It would, wouldn't it? Almost no one talks about how brilliant Paganini was as a child. But he was. And the real miracle is that Paganini discovered when he was only 5 years old that he must practice everything way beyond what was necessary to merely play the violin, so that all of the impossibilities of the past would become easy, and later his greatest strengths. He began applying this secret on the very first day he picked up a violin, and he was past all the normal difficulties of the first 2 years by the end of his first week. This secret is also what gave Paganini the ability to play those unbelievably, truly demonic fourth finger trills. So whether you're just starting out and can't keep your wrist straight, or a professional violinist with a weak fourth finger, which is not uncommon, let's follow the example of Paganini, put our violin down, and solve both of these problems in less than a week. Step 1 is to simply recognize that almost everyone fights bending their wrist, especially at the beginning. And almost everyone starts out with a weak fourth finger. It's just the way we are. So own it. But then, like Paganini, embrace the challenge and overcome it. So, hold out your left hand, relax it, and then press your fingers against the middle of the palm. Now look at your wrist. Even if you're a professional violinist, it's probably bent. Now, make sure that your wrist remains straight and press your fingers against the palm again. Feel it? Now, rotate your wrist around like you're playing the violin and try it again. To add insult to injury, bring your thumb around like it's supporting the neck of the violin, and you might really think, whoa. Yet, on top of that, now, thump your fingers against the thumb, starting with the index finger, like you will have to when playing the violin fast, and voila! If you're normal, the fourth finger will probably rear its tiny little head and groan. The secret is this. Just like a gymnast or ballet dancer, in order to succeed as a violinist, we must stretch and exercise our left hand. And we must do it well beyond where it needs to go when we are playing, so it will become easy to put our fingers down with a straight wrist. And at the same time, this secret will make our fourth finger the strongest and fastest of them all. At least it will start to feel that way pretty quick. The amazing part is that unlike a gymnast learning to hold the iron cross, the process to cure a bent wrist only takes about a week. So see, violin playing really is easy. So let's do it. Hold up your arm, rotate your hand around as far as you can, bend your wrist, and close your fist. This is the initial stretch. And if you feel some pretty wicked things going on in your muscles and tendons, that is normal. Ease off though, relax for a moment, and try it again. But always stop if it hurts, and start again more gently. But you do have to push yourself, and if anything does seem really wrong, please see a doctor for advice before proceeding. Now, form a nice C shape with your thumb and fingers, and once again, rotate your hand around as far as you can go. Then extend your arm while keeping your hand rotated. Push yourself a little further each time, and the further your wrist bends beyond straight, the better. But don't work or push so hard that you injure yourself. For some people, this does become a fine line, so be careful. After doing this, the real stretch and real secret is to maintain a straight and then eventually bent wrist while tapping each of the fingers against your thumb with an audible thump. And then focusing on this pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And do it over and over while stretching and extending. Then, increase your speed and pressure as much as you can. If you can't bring the little finger around far enough at first to touch the tip of the thumb, relax your hand back a little and it'll soon come. Or you may have to do the other stretches an extra day or two before coming back to this one. The beauty is that just like Paganini's secret of holding the bow, you can do this exercise almost anywhere, even lying down in bed. So do it often, yet don't ever exercise very long at any one time, especially without stretching and relaxing at least twice a minute. Also, you can use your other hand to help stretch everything a little further. But once again, don't go too far, too fast. Remember that the real improvement comes from the muscles in the left hand doing the work of stretching and rotating everything beyond where it needs to be. The amazing part is that within 1 week, if properly done about 5 times each day for around 3 minutes each time, it usually becomes more natural, even for a beginning violinist, to play with a straight wrist than a bent one. It just magically seems to happen after doing these exercises. And at the same time, your fourth finger will also magically become your best friend. And instead of being shy and weak, it will start begging to play notes and do trills. Especially if you add this next exercise to your regiment. After doing all of the other exercises, lock your 3 first fingers together just barely beyond the tip of the thumb. Then rotate and stretch slightly beyond playing position and overbend your wrist. Then tap the tip against the top of the thumb, pretty much as hard and fast as you can. Keep stretching further and further. Then over time, build up the speed until it becomes a trill. So remember that Paganini struggled with a bent wrist and a weak fourth finger, just like every beginner does. But only for a week.